Here is a video tutorial of how to use Excel to complete your assignment. If you already know how to do this, then great, you probably don't need to watch the video, but if you are new to Excel, then you might want to follow along. So first things first, here is your assignment right here. You're going to need to transfer this data set into Excel. So all you need to do is just highlight the whole thing. I'm just right clicking, click copy, go to your Excel sheet, and then just paste. All right, so it'll look something like that. The data set I'm going to work with though is a sample data. So just follow the steps and it should get you to the same type of graph, but I'm going to let you guys deal with that yourself. So here is my sample data, right? It's the same setup, just less numbers, and I'm just kind of showing you the buttons and what to click and all that stuff. So make sure you guys read the background on the topic so that you know what you're going to have to analyze and what your data means at the end of it. So here we go. First thing is whenever you guys have multiple trials of whatever, right, in an experiment, multiple trials is a good thing, but you have to take the average, right? So you're going to need to take the average of this one for yeast, for apple, and for banana, because you can see they have one trial for each right there. So I'm just going to add a column. So to add a column, just go right after it, go right click, click insert, and then it gives you that space right there. Right, same thing over here, right click, insert. Oh, did that wrong. You want to do it for the one after, I forgot. And then insert, there we go. And then here, this one's already blank, so we can just use that. And I'm just going to label it average so that I don't get confused when I'm doing my calculations. So Excel, if you haven't used it before, uses things called formulas to do the calculations. So the ones that you guys are going to need to know for this class are average and standard deviation for the most part. So all you have to do is go to the end where you put the average and you put equal sign. And yes, you do need to put the equal sign. Otherwise, Excel is not going to know what you want it to do. And then type out the word average, right? And then do open parentheses and then just highlight the numbers you wanted to calculate, right? So just like that. Excel is very picky. If you go one box over, it's going to calculate that as well. So you have to be extra mindful of what you're highlighting to make sure that you get the right data. So then do close parentheses, press enter, and then you have your average. Right now, you can type that in for every single box if you want, but a little trick for you is just go back to the one you did, right? And then see how right now my cursor is a solid white cross. If you go over here to this corner, see how it changes to a black skinny cross, right? So go over to that corner, change it to the black skinny cross, press down on your mouse, and then hold and drag. Right, hold and drag, and then it's going to calculate all the averages for you. So instead of you having to type it out every single time, you can just drag it. But you can only do it for the same column. So like for over here, right, I need to calculate the average as well, but I need to type it out at least once, highlight just the one that I need to take the average of, close parentheses, and then there it goes. So same thing, I'm going to turn it into the black skinny cross, press and hold, then drag down, right? And then those are the numbers. And then one more time over here, type out the word average, highlight my trials, close parentheses, and then drag it down. All right, so those are the averages of my trials. So I'm just going to highlight it so that you guys know what we're dealing with. These guys right here. Oh, went a little too far. So just these guys, right? So these are the values that we're going to make a graph out of. So when you go to do your big data set right here, right, there should be each column in between just like we did, and then that's what we're going to graph. If you're proficient in Excel, you can graph it here, right? You would just have to, you know, select this one, this one, this one, and this one. Oh, I forgot one right there. Right? So you can select those and make your graph. But if you're pretty new to Excel, what I would suggest is make a new data table, right? Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this column, or sorry, just the numbers. Just take the column of the numbers, and then I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to relabel it as time. And then I'm just going to paste. Oh, did it not like that? Okay, let me try that again. So copy and then paste the values right here. Excuse me. So that's the first one. Now, when you guys go and do this one though, so something to remember. So this first one is yeast. So I'm going to label it yeast, and then apple, and then banana. Right? So when you go and take these numbers though, when you copy and paste it, right, it's gonna copy what is on this formula bar. So when you try to copy it over there, right, it might work out because it's very specific, but sometimes depending on your data set, it might not. So let me try just regular pasting. Okay, it didn't like that, right? So see how it just copied it over? So that's not what we want. So I'm gonna delete that. So what you want to do instead is you just want to, let's do it again, copy, and then when you paste it, you actually want to right click and click this one right here where it says just the values, because again, it's trying to copy the formula in here, but what's in here is not what you want over there. So I'm gonna do it again for this one. Right click copy, and then over here right click paste just the values, right? And then one more time, copy, and then paste the values. So this is what you're graphing, this one right here. So on your assignment right here, number 1, it says graph the average millimole value of O2 versus these, right? And then your graph should have 3 lines properly labeled and include a legend. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight, well, let's try highlighting it with the title. Sometimes it works. So you highlight that, click insert. I usually like using the scatter plot because sometimes the line graph just switches your axes. The scatter plot, in my opinion, does it a lot easier. So I click this one, and then those are my 3 lines right there, right? And this one was nice enough to tell us, right, that that's the yeast, apple, and banana. And again, very, very specific. So if you try to graph it like that, it's not gonna like that. So you want to just highlight just what you need, which is this, right? And then so it wants you to label it. So make sure you have a title, right? You want to be as descriptive as possible. For our class, I'm honestly okay with just saying your independent and your dependent variables. So you can just do time in seconds, right, versus, and then you can use these. So find a word that would describe these yeast, apple, and banana. And technically that would be your independent, or sorry, your dependent variable, right? So whatever that is, think of a name that would encompass all of those. That would be your dependent variable. You have your legend already, which is great, but you need your axis labels. So I'm on a Windows computer. I guess I should have said that beforehand. The buttons might be slightly different on a Mac, but the functions are the same. So for if you have this special button that shows up on the side of your graph, then just click it, and then right here it says axis title. So just click that and see how those showed up, right? And then you can double click it and type your axis title, double click it and type your axis title. If that area doesn't show up for you, then just click on your graph and then click on chart design. Right here, add chart element. So add chart element and then axis title, and you're going to want to click both, right? So I already have that on there. I will tell you that the bottom is time in seconds, and yes, you do want to put the units on there, right? So that one is that, and then these, right, your units should be the millimoles of O2. So don't forget to put that. So whatever you pick your dependent variable category to be, just make sure you put the millimoles of O2 as your, well, actually, you know what? That would be better anyway. Let's just put millimoles of O2. That would be a good title, right? So then don't forget to put your axis title. You have your legend. The next thing it wants, if you take a look at your graph right here, I'm sorry if you can hear that, that's my cat and he's meowing very loudly. Anyway, so right here, the second one, it says identify the data points that fall within the steepest point, right? So looking at your graph right here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you have a better idea. So what you're looking for is the steepest part of the graph. So to know if something is the steepest part, you can do it mathematically and do your slope, your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 equation to accurately find it, right? Or if you want, this one is a pretty straightforward graph. You can just eyeball it and see which one is the steepest. So in my eyes, so you got to look at one line at a time. So if I look at the blue one, right, the steepest one is right here, right? And so that falls within the 30 and 50, or sorry, 30 and 60 data points. So what I'm going to do over here in my original data table, I'm looking for, what did I say? 45 to 60, right? 45 to 60, and blue is yeast. So I'm just going to take 45 to 60 of the yeast, which is that, right? 45 to 60, and then I'm just going to make a new graph out of it, right? So then I have this, right? So same thing, make sure you have a title, make sure you have your axes labels. So you can put this one as time in seconds versus 10% yeast millimole. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. Let me switch it up. Millimole of O2, like that. And then again, same thing, you want to make sure you add your axis title. So let me scoot this down, right? So this next part, so if I go back to your assignment, right, so you just did this one, identify the points that fall in the steepest part of the curve. So you're going to do it for all three lines, so you should have two more after that, right? It says find the equation of the best fit line. The slope of that line is the velocity. So this next part, if you are not on the Excel program, like let's say you're on Google Sheets or you are on the OneDrive version of Excel, depending on that version, sometimes it doesn't show up, sometimes it does, right? It should be the same buttons though, so try it out if you can find it. If you can't find it, then let me know. I can try to find it for you, or just download the Excel program on your computer. It's free for you guys because you guys are students. But anyway, so same thing, if you have this button right here, actually, let me scoot us down so we're not so distracted by all these numbers. Scoot it down. Okay, so same thing, if you have this special button right here, just click plus, and you're looking for trend line, right? So you click trend line, and then it's there, it's just because it's already a linear line that you can't see it. So then you click this button right here, click linear. And again, let me see if I can show you guys where it is. Maybe not, because it's linear. So if I do it for this one, for example, just so you know what I'm talking about. If I do it for this one, see how it has that dotted line right there? So it's making the best fit line, right? That's what it's for. But because our graph down here is already linear, it's below it, right? So the next part then is you just want to click more options, and then this table should show up. You're looking for the equation, so you're going to click this one. You just scroll to the bottom, display equation on the chart, and there it is, right? So even though I can't see your best fit line because this is already a linear line, I need to at least make sure that you see, or I see, the equation, because that's where you get the velocity, right? So look at your steps. It says the slope of the line represents the velocity. So remember, the slope is the one next to the x, so that 1.2079 is the slope of this line, right? It's the slope of this line. And then once you're done, right, I would just, so if this was my homework, for example, right, I would just probably start a new page down here and then just copy and paste your graphs, right? So like for this one, let's assume this one's done. Again, please put your labels on there. I just copied it, and then I'm just going to click paste, and then there it is, right? And then after that, I'm going to take the other one, so this one right here, B, go to my document, and then paste, and then there it is, right? And then I need you to put down the velocity. So it's just below it. You can do velocity of 10% yeast solution. I can't spell solution. And then you just put the 1.2079, just like that, right? And then you should have 2 more graphs after that because you got to do one for apple and you got to do one for banana. And then let's see, is that it? Yep, and that's it. And it says upload your graphs as an assignment link. If you do it this way, then you could just upload one document without having to upload multiple because you can answer the questions right here. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. If you don't have this special button right here, then again, just go back to chart design, just click add chart element, and then trend line is right here. Click more trend line options, and then it'll show up, right? So if you have any questions, let me know. Remember, this is sample data, so your graphs are not going to look exactly the same as mine. You're going to have to do it for this big data set right here, right? So the numbers and the shape of the graph are going to be different. But let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.